UTSA just made a shocking move that puts them so high on the list of immediate Big 12 expansion candidates. This is Locked On Big 12.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to Locked On Big 12. I'm Drake Toll from America's #1 Big 12 podcast, Locked On Big 12. Thank you for making this show your first listen every single day. If you hit subscribe, I get to keep my job, and that would be very cool. I like getting paid. Today, we're going to talk about how the Big 12 might go after UTSA after they just made a move that shocks all of Texas. We'll also go through CBS making some wild Big 12 predictions for the 2024 football season, and we'll finish it off with Colorado in Saudi Arabia, begging for money. Yep, today's going to be a fun one. Off the riff here. UTSA, why should I care? Well, I want to open this by saying we added 4 schools 3 years ago: Houston, BYU, Cincinnati, and UCF. I didn't say this then, but I will today, and I'm going to stick by it at least for now, that we'll regret adding at least one of those schools. 5-10 years down the road, you'll go, hey, Bob Bowlesby, you nailed 3 of those, but one could kick rocks, didn't need them. They're taking money from us. And I'm not going to say that it's Houston yet, but according to Joseph Duarte, Houston made a statement and request to liquidate $10 million from an endowment fund to support athletics. The statement from Houston is the item on the agenda for UH System Board of Regents meeting is to request and authorize a $10 million loan for UH athletics, which the department will pay over time. So you add a school like that who's struggling to stay afloat financially in athletics, and then you see the move that UTSA just made. And again, you go, why should I care? Well, this could absolutely rock. UTSA reminds me a lot of UCF. And bear with me here, Orlando, San Antonio, 2 very large markets. San Antonio is massive. It's a school that has a high grade, a Division I FBS football stadium that could float in the Power 4. It's the Alamo Dome. It needs some renovation, sure, but it's massive. It's not like we're adding a school that's got a 20,000 capacity little rinky-dinks thing that they popped up on the side of the road. UTSA has not just facilities, but also a winning acumen, a pedigree, a coach, and Jeff Traylor, who wants to stay there, who's had plenty of opportunities to move on, but has stayed at UTSA and is winning. They moved to the American Conference last year. And in case you're wondering, we added a bunch of American Conference teams. We do that. I know the ACC is a big play. I know that Washington State and Oregon State are a big play. But what if this, right under your nose, becomes a play that gives you a school that's going to become stronger than Houston? UTSA announced that's merging with UT Health San Antonio. And what that does is create the 3rd largest research institution in the state of Texas behind UT Austin and Texas A&M. If you know the state of Texas, you'll know that San Antonio is a decent recruiting hub. It is not as good as Houston. It's not as good as Dallas if you go to South Oak Cliff, but it's a good recruiting hub, and it's still in Texas. And UTSA has an investment in college football. And with this, the UT System Board of Regents asking their Chancellor Milliken to work with them to develop a plan to merge UTSA and UT Health San Antonio. They're going to create a university that is now the 3rd largest in Texas from a research standpoint. And what does research really mean? Money. Money. Now, if you're a smart cookie, and I bet you are, you might take this to your water cooler on Monday and say, hey, guys, what do you think about this? UTSA to the Big 12. And they'll all laugh and laugh. They'll say, well, sure, their endowment will be larger. They'll make more money. The research is going to bring in revenue in some aspects. But how does that translate to athletics? Look at Harvard. Look at Princeton. Look at these schools that have massive endowments. Look at these schools that are so good at the research aspect, but can't put it together athletically because there's the one thing they're focused on. Let me give you a rebuttal to that. When you go to the water cooler and somebody says that, don't smack them. Very calmly say, that's Princeton and Harvard. They don't give a rat's about athletics. UTSA, a college football-based school in Texas? We're not talking about the Boston area. We're not talking about Massachusetts here. Or New Jersey? Is that where Princeton is? Far be it from me. We're talking about the state of Texas and a school that is invested in athletics, in a school that changed conferences for the 5th time in like 25 years last season to move to the American to try to bolster what it has moving forward in athletics. And you go, well, I don't really care. Texas Tech and UTSA, that just feels like a matchup that doesn't tickle my biscuits. Well, buddy, when they're the 3rd largest school in Texas now from a research standpoint and money's rolling into those guys, bigger than a Baylor, bigger than a TCU, and you go like, oh yeah, well, but the UT San Antonio health thing is separate from campus, and it's going to be a completely different entity. Hey, bud, Baylor's medical school, Houston. Baylor's nursing school, Dallas. Those kids, like, you're going to Baylor in Houston. You're going to Baylor in Dallas. That's still part of Baylor. That's still what brings money in. It's still what the tuition that goes toward the school. Why am I mad? Do I sound mad? I shouldn't be so mad. I'm happy that UTSA is doing this, and it gives you a school in the Big 12's backyard to say, you know what? Yeah, you're probably more valuable than Houston now. I get it. Houston basketball is great. UTSA's is not. UTSA football, despite losing to Houston last year, is really good. They even went to the American Conference Championship game, American Athletic Conference Championship game last year in their first year. And that is good. Can you bring that to the Big 12? Well, if it makes money sense, then you do. And I like when the Big 12 makes money because it means that we stay alive. Coming up, CBS has some wild Big 12 predictions. This is Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you, folks, by Ultimate GM. I spend a lot of time on the road. I can't always play the video games that I like to play, even when they are revolving around college football. So instead, I have Ultimate GM. Right now, you can take a moment to go to Ultimate College Football HC on the App Store and play an amazing simulation game that lets you be the head coach of anybody, Florida, Texas Tech, North Carolina. For recruiting players, hiring coaching staffs, you even get to call plays for the offense during the game. Your strategy will not only determine the success of the team, but will shape the future legacy of your program. Ultimate College Football HC is completely free. It has no ads, 100% playable offline. And of course, we have a special offer. Right now, if you use code LOCKEDONCFB, all caps, Locked On CFB inside the game store, you receive a free boost to your program. Download the game, visit ultimate-cfb.com or look it up on the app stores. Ultimate College Football HC. Begin your coaching legacy today. CBS has come out with its Big 12 predictions for 2024. Football is finally here. We get more of it tomorrow. Florida State is playing Georgia Tech, and these are crazy. So they allow all the college football writers from Chip Patterson and David Cobb and Shehan Jeyarajah and Will Backus to give Dennis Dodd to give you their Big 12 predictions. Their most overrated teams feature Arizona, and the reason why, they have T-Mac and Noah Fafita, but they lost 28 transfers, some of which certainly would have been starters in the program. Kansas State is listed as overrated in their eyes because it's a transition season. The Wildcats getting a little too much love as a serious Big 12 contender per Shehan Jeyarajah, saying quarterback Avery Johnson will someday be the Big 12's best quarterback, but not right now after completing 56% of his passes as a freshman. They list Colorado as an overrated team. Yes. Yeah. Okay. For sure. Yes, Dennis Dodd. Thank you. Oklahoma State. Richard Johnson says he says they are the most overrated team. And he's not concerned about the Cowboys on offense, have the best running back in college football. The problem for him lies on the defense, and he worries will hold them back. West Virginia. Tom Fernelli says, count out the West Virginia Mountaineers. I'm sure you love to hear that. Says that they are overrated this season. And then Jerry Palm, the basketball guy, says UCF came to the Big 12 after a very successful run of the AAC that saw the Knights get to 2 New Year's Six bowl games. Entered the Big 12 coming off back-to-back 9-win seasons, but finished last season with 6 wins, of which, you move from the AAC to the Big 12. He says he doesn't think UCF is ready for the next step. Now, here are the most underrated teams per CBS. Kansas. Yeah, I agree. I think we should be talking about Kansas in the Big 12 championship game and winning it all. Iowa State is another one. That is from Cobb and Jeyarajah saying Iowa State right now, they improved from 1-8 against Big 12 foes in 2022 to 6-3 last season. Now everybody and their mom is back. Iowa State's going to be good. UCF, listed by Patterson as his most underrated team. What if Gus Malzahn, RJ Harvey, KJ Jefferson put it all together? Then at that point, you're looking at a dangerous team. Texas Tech. Jerry Palm, the basketball guy, asking why nobody's talked about Texas Tech since Cliff Kingsbury left in 2019. What? We were talking about them 2 years ago when they beat Texas. I guess you were doing the basketball thing. Says maybe a 9-win season will get people to take notice. He thinks they're underrated and they'll get to 9 wins this year. Kansas State. Okay. Underrated is not really a term that I would use for Kansas State, but Tom Fernelli, that's what he's going to use. Says it's odd to consider a team that is a favorite to win the Big 12 underrated, but it's the Big 12. Hard to find an underrated team in a league full of similarly rated teams. Still, Kansas State is one of the best Big 12 teams for a while, and people seem a little too eager to crown Utah as Big 12 champion in its first season in a new league. I like the Utes a lot. but overlook the Wildcats at your peril. Bold predictions. Dennis Dodd has 2. The Big 12 will get 2 teams in the playoff. Yes. In a dream scenario here, CBS's Dennis Dodd, I would like that a lot. Saying that Kansas State or Utah will reach the semifinals as well. And Kansas, Lance Leipold will be the national coach of the year, or at least a candidate after winning at least 9 games. I would love to get 2 in. There's a way to get 2 in. It's just tough. Now that I've played college football, NCAA 25 or whatever it's called, it's even tougher. I know it's a simulation, it's a video game, but I get to the end of every season, it's like, oh, the Big 12 got 1 team in because the other team was ranked 22nd in the country. And that's kind of what the Big 12 does. It's like, yeah, the 2 teams playing for the Big 12 championship, one's number 7 in the nation. The other is number 17. And then if the number 17 team wins, the number 7 team is probably getting booted out of the college football playoff. Getting 2 in is going to be tough. I've given you scenarios where we get 3 in. That's a possibility. The SEC will. The Big 10 will. Why can't we? I know they're better conferences, but if they can, we can. It's tough. It's tough. I get it. 12-team playoff, though, there's an opportunity for it. He says he wants 2. Fernelli says every Big 12 team will lose at least 3 conference games. What? I don't even know how you pull that off, man. That's so hard. Every team losing 3 conference games. No team finishing better than 9-3 this college football season for the Big 12 is stunning. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can give him any sort of no. How? If it comes true, then take your flowers. Chip Patterson, Big 12 produces just 1 college football playoff team in 2024, which they have to, by the way. There are rules and regulations that say that the Big 12, whoever its champion is going to get in. And thank you for the analysis. While it's great to sell advertisers, generate buzz, he does think that no conference will be more competitive, and that isn't a great thing for the Big 12 because the more that you lose, the more people start to look away from even the really good teams in the conference. Sheon says top 6 teams in the Big 12 will all finish 1 game away from each other in conference play. That'd be awesome. Remember last year when middle of the season, they're like, hey guys, change to the tiebreaker rules. Could we see that again? I think that's probably the best big take so far is that top 6 team in the Big 12 will all be right there together. There's a very good chance that is the case in a divisionless Big 12, 16 teams in this conference. Richard Johnson loves Jalen Daniels, says that he's got an opportunity to go to New York. I do too. I'm very high on Kansas. I think we should all be a little bit more high on Kansas for those of us that are here together. David Cobb says that Brent Keithy will be an All-American, first team All-American, and will lead the Utes to the Big 12 title. Love it. I think Brent Keithy is, again, because of injuries, because Brant Keithy is always been consistent. When he's on the field, he's consistent. We don't talk enough about a tight end because he's a tight end, and he is the Big 12's version of Travis Kelce. It's a weird thing to say, but yeah, the Big 12's version of Travis Kelce. Jerry Palm, the basketball guy, says that Deion Sanders will be gone after 2025. Well, Jerry, you've been watching in some aspects, and I think that one you probably landed. That's his bold prediction. He'll be at least on the hot seat in 2025. And Will Backus also says the Big 12 will produce 2 college football playoff teams. Maybe. They all give their rankings as well. You can find this at cbssports.com/college football /news /Big 12 expert picks 2024 most overrated and underrated teams projected in order. And then the link keeps going. I retweeted it. So that's, yeah. Some of them have West Virginia at 9. Most of them have BYU, Arizona State, Cincinnati, Colorado, even Houston at the back of the poll, and a whole lot of Utah at the very top. Sheon J. Rasha has Iowa State up there too. Maybe. Coming up, Colorado with Saudi Arabia on Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. I just got back from Utah. Went to Utah and saw Tyler Childers live in concert. And I bought the tickets day of in the pit. Shaky Graves was there. Bella White was there. It rocked. They were so cheap. I bought one for my friend too. Said, come on with me, pal. And we did. Me and my friend Red. He was on the show a while back. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that allows you to get tickets for your favorite live events and make it even easier. Right now, you get 50% off Labor Day Diamondbacks Dodgers. Go in there and buy it. 50% off Labor Day, Diamondbacks Dodgers. So in the app, the Game Time app, you get curated deals, super deals, seat views before you buy. And if you mention, you can get the toggle all-in pricing thing. You can turn the feature on and just have the all-in pricing right there. Diamondbacks Labor Day offer, 50% off tickets to Dodgers at Diamondbacks on Labor Day exclusively on Game Time. So visit Game Time today. Lowest price guaranteed. 24-hour returns guaranteed. On time ticket delivery. That is Game Time. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off as well. Terms apply. Locked On College for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Oh, Colorado went to Saudi Arabia. Didn't have that on my bingo card. This comes from our friends at Sports Illustrated. Jeff Hauser, Jason Jones reporting Colorado sought NIL funding from Saudi Arabia's PIF in unprecedented move. They spelled unprecedented wrong in the title. That's okay. We'll forgive and forget. It goes on to say that Deion Sanders had Trevor Riley, his special teams coordinator last year, who resigned on August 1st, who was trying to bring in money for 5430, the NIL collective. He expressed to Sports Illustrated, this is a direct quote from the article from SI, that there were no bad feelings between anyone in the program, but rather he was at odds with a few people in Colorado's administration. So according to this, he basically was unhappy with the money they were giving him. They're giving him like $90,000 a year, let him be the special team. I'll read you the quote that he gives. But first, the whole Saudi Arabia thing, that's the Middle East, where he spent the last holiday season with Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, trying to garner money for name, image, and likeness on behalf of Colorado football. Can you just picture this guy dripped out in Colorado gear? I hope he has the Deion Sanders hat, the cowboy hat, and the glasses. Just bounce, 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 bounce. Walking into a meeting with the Saudis. Like, hey, guys, nice oil and gas out there. What do you say about giving a little moolah to the old Colorado football program? Yeah? Uh-huh. Oh, return on investment? Yeah, we don't have a lot of that. It's more just like a, you scratch our back, we lose football games kind of deal. He says this was in a copy of what Riley says was in his resignation letter to Colorado. And this quote from Riley to Sports Illustrated, the arrangement was that because I did all the NIL work at Jackson and got us through, you guys would pay me a modest salary to make me special teams coordinator, which should have free time to me to handle NIL activities. I love it. You're an on-field coach. Yeah, but make me the special teams coordinator so that I don't have to focus on the actual coaching thing and I can just go make us some money. Come on, guys. He goes on. You paid me $90,000 a year and let me handle special teams. I did all this work in your name and was told to pursue it. I burned through all my this is crazy. I burned through all my contacts in my Mormon community, which is worth about $3 trillion. Now I can't get these people to answer my calls because I just found out today that none of my endeavors will happen. Wow. $90,000 a year to be the special teams guy. We made you an on-field coach who doesn't really do anything so you can go out and get some money. You have Mormon contacts that are worth $3 trillion. LDS, thank you. That are worth $3 trillion. And now none of them are your friends anymore because you went to go to them and now none of your endeavors will happen. He is finally quoted as saying, gosh, I love it. I even went to Saudi Arabia. This sounds like such a fun breakup thing where the girl, like her love language is gifts, acts of service. And the guy is just not. The guy's like, hey, more of like a words of affirmation, quality time guy. And at the end, she is, or vice versa, he is. I went through a breakup recently, so this is a good analogy. So he is or she is being like, hey, I bought you a car and a boat and I cleaned the house and I did all kinds of things for you. And he's like, I didn't ask you to meet the Saudis. Our relationship could have functioned without you meeting with the Saudis to get money for our NIL fund. He says, I even went to Saudi Arabia. I got a meeting with the Saudis who were interested in pursuing business. I have email receipts to prove it, and you guys let it fall flat on its face. That's how I read it. That's what I think he was posing here in the quote. I went all the way there on my holiday, and they were going to do it too, and you cut it. What? Is this what Deion's running in Boulder? Riley said he acted on his own accord, by the way. Great. Again, perfect example of the boyfriend's like, I didn't ask you to get on a flight and go to Belarus or wherever Saudi Arabia is. I didn't. Well, I did. I did all of it on my own accord. He said, I did nothing illegal. Very clear here. All conversations with the Saudis were very legal. I didn't do anything wrong. Sports Illustrated continues by saying, some of these out-of-the-box concepts are small. Earlier this week, a 99-year-old Colorado legend, Peggy Copham, received a one-of-a-kind NIL deal for I Ain't Hard to Find to Blender's Sleeve, whatever that means. So look, NIL is a big thing. And Coach Prime is a guy that goes outside of the box. And Sports Illustrated would tell you here, it sounds crazy. It's really not. The Saudi government owns multiple international professional soccer clubs outright, along with stakeholder rights in many others, including Chelsea and Newcastle United. They're also lead backer for Live Golf. Yeah, that's what you want to cite your source for. Come on, guys. Live Golf's doing it. We can do it here in Colorado, who previously attempted to buy the PGA Tour and partners with ATP and Formula One. I get it. The Saudi Arabian PIF, they give out money. And it's not even that crazy for Riley to go. Like they told this random guy, hey, you, bud, you're our special teams coordinator. Well, I don't know anything about special teams. Okay, that's fine. Just go do whatever. Find us some money, please. And that is the attack that he's been on. And that attack included him spending his holiday in Saudi Arabia. After the whole Dion CBS thing, where he was like, I'm not answering your question. And the one guy said, your team have chemistry? What is chemistry? Brr. And the other guy was like, you bolstered your offensive line. Don't use that word bolstered. Say that we improved. That's what the word means, Dion. That's not, nope. You went 4-8 last year. I was at a bar in Salt Lake City, which is kind of like a misnomer. I was at a bar in Salt Lake City, a place that sold drinks. Bar is a strong word. And they had TVs on, and ESPN News was replaying the Colorado-Stanford game. And I forgot how crazy bad that was. And now that's the guy that we all look toward, and they're like, yeah, Dad, you are the one who puts us on a pedestal in the Big 12. People turn their cameras, their weary eyes in college football to Deion Sanders, the guy who I guess he had no grasp on this. Did he know the guy was going to Saudi Arabia? And now the guy's ticked off because he's like, I went and I got all this money from the Mormons, from the Saudis. I got all this money from these people, and then you did me wrong. You only gave me $90,000. I hope they were giving him commission. Hope he wasn't just flying on his own accord to Saudi Arabia and not getting commission. Also, $90,000 to be the special teams coordinator. I didn't even mention it. That's just silly. Like, pay him more than that, especially if the guy loves his job this much. I should hire. You think he wants an internship? We could work well together. He would go to Saudi Arabia and be like, hey, will you sponsor Locked On Big 12? I'd be like, yeah, sure. Then he'd come to me and be like, yeah, man, you're fired. I worked all that time, and they were going to sign the deal. The Saudis are going to sponsor Locked On Big 12, and now I can't. Love it. Sorry to Riley. It's his last name. First name, sorry. Trevor Riley. Hope that you and Connor Stallions are partying it up somewhere in Saudi Arabia together. Thanks for listening to the show today. Wasn't that fun? I had fun today. I like doing shows alone. It's just you and me get to talk. I get to ramble for a bit. Hopefully it's entertaining. I never really know. I read the comments. I see what you say. My mom reads the comments and she sends them to me. Send thoughts and prayers my way after the breakup. It's like a 3-month-old breakup, by the way, but even still, thoughts and prayers. Coming up tomorrow, it's Saturday. Monday, I'll see you there. This has been, it always will be, Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Dose Grande.